Hey everyone, welcome back to Purpose and Plans. As always, excited to bring you another video. And on today's video, I'm sharing with you a follow-up of my Erin Condren Academic Planner that I use as a master planner. And so I did a previous video that I actually went through this Erin Condren Academic Planner and how I was using it. It was a couple of test spreads that I did, and I'll show you just a few of those. But this is just a follow-up of how it's been going. And I think I've pretty much got my rhythm and my flow into this planner. I've been in it for about a month now, and I think it's going pretty good. And I can say that so far, this has been very helpful, very supportive, a really great planner that I added to my system, and I'm glad that I did it. I really don't have any regrets, no buyer's remorse, and I don't feel like it's adding any extra to my planner system. This is really a great planner as far as how I decided to use it. So let's go ahead and get right into this video. So I am going to start with the actual month that we are in, which is currently October. And if you want to check out some of the previous spreads that I did back in September, those are available on a previous video. I think you can find it right here. And as you can see, I have been able to decorate. When I first started using this planner, I did not do any decoration because I wanted to focus on getting functional inside of this planner and making sure that I was figuring out what was going to be the best way for me to use it. So I didn't want to spend a lot of time decorating, highlighting, and all of those things. But now I have been able to do that. And I don't kind of go overkill. This is not my main planner. This is a master planner, and I keep this at home. So just a little context or background is that as we were starting school back in August, we have 3 kids, elementary, middle, high school. We are split between 2 schools. We have a lot going on. I work, and then I have purpose and plans. There's some other goals that I'm working on as well that requires a good chunk of my time. And then we have extracurriculars with soccer and gymnastics. So needless to say, we are very busy, to include my husband is a pastor, and so there's just a lot of things going on in our home. It's really never a dull day. So I wanted to have something where I could really see better at a higher level what we have going on. So I am currently in this R. Estelle. This is my personal planner. When you're in a personal planner, your space is a little bit limited, and I'm okay with that. I like this size. I really feel good in this size planner. But there were so many things that I was trying to track. I did not want to chunk out my planner too much, and I did not want it to get so cluttered where I can't really see what's going on. And I wanted to find a way where I could really get clear on what's happening throughout the week and just a high level view of what's going on, who's doing what, when, where, what's needed from me, and also a way to see what I need to prepare for. So this is more like a family calendar, I guess you could say, because I am tracking pretty much everything. And I'm gonna just give you a quick overview of how I'm using this monthly spread. So I will keep on here kids' activities, any appointments that we have for anyone in the family. All of the appointments will go on here. Not so much my husband's appointments. I don't really track his unless it's something that puts obligation on me, just picking up the kids or dropping them off or something like that. But aside from that, I don't track his appointments because he can do that himself. But I will track the kids' appointment, anything that my husband has to do that will impact the home dynamics and logistics and things. And I also have our church activities as well, my planning activities, things like that. So this is what I keep here. And on the sidebar, what I'm doing here in the notes section, and I will zoom you in so that you can see, is on the sidebar, what I'm doing is I am tracking for the most part my little one who's in the 3rd grade. I am tracking just by the week certain things that she has going on. I keep this in multiple places just so that I don't have to be limited to one area to find information that I'm looking for. But I will track things by the week for her school, whether it's an activity or a quiz or homework or something like that. So I've been keeping this here. So for example, one of my kids had Spirit Week. So I would just write that here. I didn't want to put on the entire week, Monday wear this, Tuesday wear that. I just put Spirit Week, and I would just put it on a sticky note what they would have to wear, because it really wasn't anything that I needed to retain. So that's how I was using the notes. And this has been really helpful, because then I can see at a glance on a monthly spread what we have going on by the week, if I just wanted to get a high level overview of that. And I do have where in my my personal planner, I want to find it. So as you can see, like my monthly planner here is not as full as the master planner, because there are things that I don't necessarily need to track in my personal planner that I do need to track in my master planner. This is really more so for me, and this is more of just everything that's going on. So using this as a master planner has just been really helpful. I've probably said that very many times by now. Now flipping over to the dashboard and deadline tracker. So the way I have been using this is I will go ahead and put a couple of goals in this part here. I do track my goals in a different planner, so I don't worry about having this filled out too much. And then my top to-dos, what I will put here are not it's not a task list of things that I need to do. These are just more higher level, doesn't necessarily have a deadline attached to it per se, but just things that I want to remember to do throughout the month. And I am still working on how I want to effectively use this section, really get the most out of the space, but also be efficient with the real estate that I have here without just putting a bunch of to-dos on there, because I don't want this just to become a duplicate task manager or another duplicate list that I have somewhere else. So I'm still working on this, and I do have a couple of ideas about how I'm going to do this. And one of the things that I was thinking about is in my personal planner, I have in my tracker section I have an area where I track different things that I need to do. I have a yearly tracker here that I have a couple of things that I need to do in the home, things that I want to do every month, or if it's something we do annually, whether it's dental appointments, eye exams, women's exams, cleaning a refrigerator, cleaning mattresses, stove vents, oven vents, just those type of things. And I like how I have it here. I was thinking about taking these things here and then putting the things that I need to do in my home on the top to-do list. That's just one way I'm thinking about it, but I'm not sure. And then I have my important dates. So these are just some of the dates from the monthly calendar that I'm putting in the important dates. After they've occurred, I will highlight them so that I can easily tell what's the next thing that's coming up, and that's been pretty helpful too. And then notes and reminders. To be honest, usually in the notes or reminders area of a planner, I rarely find really good use for it, because I have notes in other planners and notes in other places. So I rarely get the best use out of this. But I did just go ahead and put just something that I wanted to remember, but I'm not sure how I really want to use this. And there's things that I've thought about. I could put a scripture, I could put an affirmation, I could put, a theme. But I didn't want to just find a way to fill up the space. I really want this to be functional, effective, and something that brings value, and not just putting something on the paper just for the sake of filling it up. Because that's not the purpose of this planner. This is a high overview of what's going on. So I don't want to fill it with just stuff. All right, so on the next page, I have the deadline tracker. So with this deadline tracker, I am tracking primarily my daughter's school work, basically. So we get a weekly sheet of the different things that she needs to do. And so because she's still in grade school, and I'm still pretty much hands-on with her right now. I am writing down the different tests or quizzes or projects or homework, things like that that she needs to do. And so I'll put the date that it's due here. Then I will go ahead and put the assignment. So if it could be that she has homework due in the subject, I will write that it's spelling, and then I'll write that it's turned in, because sometimes if you have any littles, you'll take time with them to do their homework, and then when you ask them did they turn it in, they say, oh, I forgot. But I will write down if she turned it in or not. If it's a test or something like that, the status of it, I'm just marking a line. I didn't want to track grades here because I can see that online in our school app. But this is how I've been using the deadline tracker. So it just keeps me up to date with what we have going on when she has something due. Even library books, because we like to go to the library. So if we borrow a book, I'll write the date that it's due back and that we actually returned it. So that's how I have been using this. And I really like this as far as being able to track her different projects or school assignments that she has to do. I don't track my other kids' school assignments because they are teenagers and they have to have take responsibility for tracking their own work. All right. Now here we get into the main part of the planner, which is where I spend most of my time. As you see, I have been using this every week and it has been pretty good. I've really had a good time being in this planner. So I'm going to start from the first week in October just to give you a snapshot of what I did first. And then you'll be able to see the rhythm that I've pretty much got set here. So I have each box on the left as a category. And the first category is personal. There's home, kids, purpose and plans, SIE, which is a course that I'm studying right now, meals, and prep. So that is all the categories, and I have been keeping the categories consistent throughout this planner. And so for each category, I will give each category a color, no particular reason for the color. I would just grab a color that I liked. And then for each day, when I'm doing my planning, I will put the weather sticker here just so that I kind of know what's going on. It helps so I can tell the kids, hey, you need to put your sweater on, or you need to make sure you put on a jacket that has a hood if it's raining, things like that. It just helps to know what the weather is like before we step outside. It just reduces time of kids running upstairs or running back into the house or something like that if they need something. Even for myself, this is basically the baseline schedule for the week. Not so much things that can be negotiated or pushed back to a different week. Like this is what's going down for us this week. So there's not a lot of changing to this planner or to this schedule. And this is what I think. As far as in my personal planner, I think that's what I was missing, was that I had so many different things that was going on and changing, and something would come up and it was just like the planner was just starting to feel a little chaotic, and I needed something that was more stable. And this provided the stability that I needed so that when I was planning throughout the day, different changes could happen, but I would track those different changes in my personal planner and still make sure that the things here were getting done. What I have, certain things that I know that, no kidding, these are the things that I need to do. For example, on Mondays, I lead a prayer call with my church. So I'll write that down, make sure I did my weekly planning because I needed to do it on Monday because I think that prior weekend I didn't have time. And then make sure that I get my walk in, and I had a goal of 8,000 steps that day. So I would do that, write down if I had to do laundry, because generally by the time we hit Monday, we've got laundry from the weekend. So things that I need to absolutely get done. I'm not going to go over every single thing that is on this planner, that would make this video way too long, but just to give you an idea of how I'm using it. And so the area that gets filled up the most, of course, is the kids, because there's different activities, gymnastics, there's soccer practice and games. And I will track whether I'm picking him up or if my husband has to pick him up, just things like that. So that's how I've been using it. And it really helps me see what are the different things that's happening? How's everyone moving throughout the week so that I know what I need to do and be prepared for? And this has just been truly a game changer, and I can say has brought a lot of stability to all of the different things that are taking place in our home. This also helps me to see if there are any gaps that need to be filled. So having a higher view of our week, it helps me to see where there might be some things that are conflicting with each other, if there are any gaps, because I really just don't want to drop the ball. To be honest, I don't want to drop the ball on anything. I was wanting to make sure that I had something that allowed me to see if there's something that I need to deconflict with my husband. We need to coordinate. We need to shuffle around some logistics or something like that. I'll be able to see that, because what I didn't want to happen with so many things going on throughout the week is that something just pops up that I could have prevented. I know I can't control everything, but I was thinking if there's anything that I can do in my planner system that will help me get ahead of the curve as much as possible, or kind of foresee ahead of time certain things that may happen, I would be a little bit more prepared. So this is really just giving me the peace that I need, and I guess preparing my mindset to be able to adjust if need be, but kind of already know what I'm working with. I just needed something that provided a little bit more stability, because things were just changing so much, and being able to see much higher than what my planner, my personal planner, was doing, which was giving me a little bit more granular view, which I do need. But when I'm trying to look at the week ahead and know what needs to happen when and things like that, the granular view was just not giving me that bird's eye view that I needed. And so that's what this is doing. I think one of the big areas in this planner that has helped me quite a bit is this prep category. Now, I was preparing things in my mind, meaning that before I had this planner and I was using my personal planner, I would just write down things that need to get done, or if there was somewhere we needed to go, I would write that down on that particular day. But one of the things that I was finding is that there were other things that I needed to accomplish leading up to the actual day of an event, or the day that I needed to do something. And I found myself thinking about that sometimes a little late, and I would find myself having to kind of rush and feel a little bit frantic about things. So in order to mitigate that, I decided to use one of these boxes as a prep category. And having this prep category prompted my mind to think about what needs to happen before the thing happens, because sometimes there are certain events or activities that are dependent, that have other dependencies. And I wanted to make sure that if there were any dependencies, that I was planning for that as well. So this prep category, I can say, really has been, I think, one of the biggest game changers for me in this planner system. And then at the bottom, I just use this area for errands that I need to do. And I think down here, as you can see, I don't have a whole lot, but this bottom section here is where most of the changes will happen, because it could be I didn't make it to the post office or something like that. So this is where things will change the most. But for the most part, in this area, it doesn't change. And I think that's what I need, because I'm the kind of person, I like stability. It's also one of my gifts. I have a natural tendency when I see something that doesn't have the structure it needs, the process it needs, or things just seem a little bit ambiguous, my natural tendency is to bring order and structure to things. And so I needed this for myself. And this planner has helped me do that, or I would say the system. So to flip to a different page now. So this was the first week in October that I think I felt like I was doing pretty good. And then If I fast forward to, this is, I think, the previous week, I started writing the temperature, the weather down as well. So I would add the sticker and then put the actual temperature down. So that way I could see, okay, not only it's sunny, but it's like 45 degrees outside. That's helpful. So there were just things that I was starting to add to as I was using it more and more. What I did on this week and also on this week, and I think this is the week we are currently on as far as when I'm filming this video, is I started to highlight around certain things that were more priority. So it would stand out, because I found that when I was writing things, like I could see it because I would read, I know that this was home. I'm already attuned to what boxes are what, but some things were still kind of blending in with each other. So I started to put boxes around certain things that I wanted to stand out as important to me. So for example, my morning walk and the noonday prayer that I do, like those things were important to me on a Monday. If it's an appointment somewhere where I actually need to be, I will put the box around that. I know that I wanted to film on Thursday, so that was a non-negotiable for me. So that stood out. So now highlighting around certain things on my week gives me even a higher bird's eye view of what it is that I'm looking at, because I can see everything. But then not only that, then I can see those things that are highlighted that are really standing out even more, that are very important for me to do that particular day. So, and even things like on Sunday, family dinner, like it's just important to me. Not that it's an event or anything like that. We don't have to go anywhere, but we have family dinner every Sunday. We sit down at the table and we eat together. And so that's important. So things like that, that are either of value to me, like family dinner or getting my workout in, leading the noonday prayer. Those things are important because those things are aligned to my values and the vision that I have for myself, in addition to just other things that I know that I need to do, like go to the dentist appointment or make sure that I'm doing certain house cleaning on a Saturday, or my weekly planning. So having those highlights there was just another layer of providing that stability, but then really pulling out those things that are truly important as far as committing to. And this is the current week that I'm in right now. One of the things that I noticed, and I'm going to make that change going into the next week when I do my planning, is that I feel like I found a really great rhythm with this. And I was highlighting, and I decided as I was highlighting that I wanted to create highlighted boxes that are color specific. So for example, with purpose and plans, it's like this pinkish color. So I just want to make sure that my boxes match the category. I just grabbed the marker that was nearby. I didn't worry about the color. And it wasn't until after I highlighted everything, I thought, why did I do that? I should have highlighted it according to the category, because that would just make more sense. But I just went ahead and left it as is. And then next week, I'll be making sure to match the boxes to the category. And that is how I have been using this planner, having categories, having the weather with the temperature, that high level bird's eye view of what needs to happen. And then again, that prep category. So important. It's just, I don't even know why I didn't think of this sooner, to be honest. So that's how I'm using the weekly spread. And then what I'm doing on the last page is in here, I'm using this as a meal planning sheet. So I just wrote October meals, and I'm just coming up with some meal ideas. This doesn't mean I'm cooking everything, but I come up with some meal ideas, and then it helps me with my meal planning for one, and preparing my grocery list. But then all I do is just highlight. If it was something that I cooked, then I will go ahead and highlight it so I know, okay, this is what we had. And anything that I don't highlight, I can go ahead, and if I'm still in the mood for making it, then I can transfer it to the next month. But I will use this sheet here for meal plans, because then I can take that and then add it to the meal section here in my weekly spread. So I felt like this just made sense to do a meal plan. It took me about 2-3 weeks, because this is the first week of October, this is the second week of October, and this is the third week of October, fourth week, which is the current week we're in. And it's the fourth week of October that I feel like I've kind of got it nailed down. In September, it was really just testing stuff out. Sometimes, when you get a new planner, sometimes you want to know exactly how you're going to use it, and you don't want to mess it up. You don't want to make mistakes. But with this planner, I just went ahead and used it and decided that I was going to figure it out as I went and just kind of iterate my way to a system that feels really good. And that's what I did. So I would also encourage you, if you find that you have a planner and things are still feeling a little bit scattered or chaotic, or maybe just not as stable, because sometimes it doesn't have to be chaotic for you to have to think about adding something to your system or changing something. But if it's not giving you the stability, and if it's not giving you the insight that you need when you are planning, then maybe having something that is more of a master planner, a planner that provides stability, may be what you need. And it doesn't have to be this type of planner. I'm not here to promote this type of planner, but this brought a lot of stability to this. And while my personal planner was working, and it does work, once we actually started having kids in 2 different schools and activities, things just went crazy really quick for me. And I had to find a way to get that under control. And so in my search for a planner, and I had looked at some other videos and saw someone show the academic planner. It was a blank planner. And I thought, I can use this planner in a way other than for academics. And so I decided to go ahead and grab it because I think they were on sale. And this has turned out to be a really great addition to my planner system. So the way I use it helps. And every week I will plan in this planner. So this is where I do my weekly planning now. Instead of starting out in my personal planner, I do my weekly planning in this planner. And then my personal planner is more of a hybrid of daily and weekly planning. Instead of starting out here, I start out here, and then each day I will come and do my daily plan in here. Even though it's a weekly spread, I'll do my daily planning in my R Estelle, and then I feel like I have a good handle on my day. That is how I am using this academic planner. And if you enjoyed this video, I hope that you would give me a thumbs up and like and subscribe. I appreciate your viewership and your time here. And so until the next video, I hope you have a blessed day, and I'll see you on the next video. Bye.